The silent epidemic. Have you ever looked at a man who seems confident, successful, and surrounded by people, yet deep inside, he feels completely alone? Male loneliness is one of the most invisible psychological struggles of our time. Unlike physical pain, loneliness leaves no visible scars. A man can smile at work, laugh with friends, provide for his family, and still go home feeling like no one truly understands him. From an early age, boys receive a powerful message from society. Be strong. Don't cry. Handle your problems yourself. These words may sound harmless, but over time, they teach men to hide their emotions instead of expressing them. As the years pass, many men become experts at pretending everything is okay. They don't ask for help. They don't talk about fear, anxiety, or sadness. Instead, they carry those emotions in silence. Psychologists believe this emotional isolation is one of the biggest reasons why so many men struggle with depression, stress, and loneliness without anyone noticing. But here's the surprising truth. The problem isn't that men don't want connection. The problem is that they often connect in a completely different way than most people expect. And once you understand this hidden psychological difference, you'll never look at male friendships the same way again. Why men stay silent? Why is it so difficult for many men to simply say, "I'm not okay"? The answer lies deep inside male psychology. Research suggests that many men process emotions differently. Instead of expressing feelings through long conversations, they often communicate through actions, shared experiences, or simply spending time together. Imagine sitting face to face with someone who keeps asking, "How are you feeling? What's wrong? Tell me everything." For many men, this doesn't feel comforting. It feels like pressure. It feels like they're being examined instead of understood. That's why many men answer with only a few words, even when they're carrying emotional pain inside. This silence is often misunderstood. People assume men don't care, that they're emotionally unavailable, or that they simply don't want to talk. But in reality, many of them are waiting for the right environment, one where they feel safe, relaxed, and free from judgment. They don't always need more questions. Sometimes, they simply need less pressure. The hidden secret of male friendship. Here's something fascinating that psychologists have discovered. Men often build their deepest friendships not by sitting face to face, but by standing side by side. Think about it. Two friends watching a football match, working on a car together, going fishing, playing video games, walking through a park, or lifting weights at the gym. Notice something? Their attention isn't focused entirely on each other. Instead, it's shared with an activity. This simple psychological shift removes emotional pressure. Silence no longer feels awkward. Conversation happens naturally. Without realizing it, men begin talking about work stress, family problems, financial pressure, even emotional pain they've never shared before. Psychologists call this side-by-side communication. Instead of forcing emotional conversations, the activity itself creates a safe space where feelings can emerge naturally. And perhaps that's the greatest secret behind strong male friendships. Sometimes, the best conversations happen when no one is trying to have one. The power of shared activities. Have you ever wondered why two friends can spend hours fishing, fixing a motorcycle, or watching a football game, and somehow leave feeling closer, even if they barely talked? This isn't an accident. It's psychology. For many men, emotional connection isn't built through constant eye contact or deep conversations. It's built through shared experiences. When two people focus on the same activity, their brains feel less social pressure. There is no expectation to constantly speak, explain feelings, or find the perfect words. Instead, conversations happen naturally. One comment about the game turns into a story about work. A joke while fixing a car becomes a conversation about family. A quiet walk slowly opens the door to thoughts that have been hidden for months. This is why psychologists encourage men to spend time doing something together rather than meeting with the single goal of talking. The activity becomes a bridge, and that bridge often leads to emotional honesty. Sometimes, healing doesn't begin with therapy. Sometimes, it begins with simply spending time beside someone who makes you feel safe. Why silence isn't always a bad sign. Most people believe that silence means something is wrong. But for many men, silence is comfort. Think about two lifelong friends sitting together after a long day. They may not speak for several minutes, yet neither of them feels awkward. Because true friendship doesn't always need constant conversation. Psychologists explain that men often communicate through presence rather than words. Just knowing someone is there can reduce stress and emotional loneliness. Unfortunately, society often misunderstands this silence. People assume a quiet man is emotionally distant. But many times, he's simply processing his thoughts in his own way. Not every emotion needs immediate words. Some emotions need time. Some need trust. And some only appear when the moment feels completely safe. Understanding this simple difference can transform the way we support the men in our lives. Sometimes, the greatest act of friendship isn't giving advice. It's simply staying. Small invitation can change a life. Imagine a man who has been feeling lonely for months. He doesn't ask for help. He doesn't call anyone. He simply keeps telling himself he'll be fine. Now imagine someone sends him a simple message. "Hey, I'm going for a walk. Want to come?" No pressure. No emotional questions. No uncomfortable conversation. Just an invitation. That small moment may seem ordinary, but psychologically, it can be incredibly powerful. It gives him connection without making him feel vulnerable. It reminds him that someone thought about him. Many strong friendships don't begin with life-changing conversations. They begin with simple moments shared together. A coffee, a drive, a football match, a workout, a barbecue. These ordinary activities often become the safest places for extraordinary conversations. Because in the end, the secret isn't forcing men to open up. The secret is creating an environment where they naturally want to. And sometimes, changing a man's life begins with just one sentence. Come with me. Why men lose friendships as they grow older. Have you ever noticed how making friends as a child feels effortless, but as an adult, it becomes surprisingly difficult? As boys, friendships are built naturally. School, sports, neighborhoods, and shared adventures create daily opportunities to connect. No one has to plan it. It simply happens. But adulthood changes everything. Careers become more demanding. Marriage and family bring new responsibilities. Financial pressure begins to dominate everyday life. Slowly, free time disappears. Without realizing it, many men stop investing in friendships. Not because they no longer care, but because life convinces them there's always something more important. Days turn into weeks. Weeks become months. Eventually, a simple message saying, "We should hang out sometime," is never followed by a real plan. Psychologists describe this as social drift, a gradual loss of meaningful relationships caused by changing life priorities rather than personal conflict. The tragedy is that many men don't even realize how isolated they've become until a major life event forces them to notice. A difficult breakup, the loss of a job, a health crisis, or the death of someone close. Suddenly, they look around and realize there is no one they truly feel comfortable calling. Friendships don't usually disappear overnight. They slowly fade through neglect, and rebuilding them starts with one intentional step. The digital world cannot replace real connection. Today, we're more connected than ever before. We can send messages instantly, share photos in seconds, video call anyone across the world. Yet loneliness continues to rise. Why? Because digital connection is not the same as emotional connection. Scrolling through social media may keep us entertained, but it rarely makes us feel understood. 100 online friends cannot replace one genuine conversation. 1,000 likes cannot replace one loyal companion. Psychologists explain that the human brain still craves real-life interaction, hearing a friend's laughter, sharing an experience, or simply sitting together without saying much. Technology is an amazing tool, but it was never designed to replace human presence. The strongest memories are rarely created on a screen. They're created while traveling together, watching a match, cooking a meal, helping each other through difficult times. Real connection requires shared moments, and those moments cannot be downloaded. The first step out of loneliness. If you're feeling lonely today, remember this. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. You don't need dozens of new friends. You don't need the perfect words. Psychologists suggest starting with one small action. Send one message. Accept one invitation. Invite someone for coffee. Go for a walk. Watch a football game together. Join a gym. Volunteer. Take part in a hobby where people naturally meet. Connection grows through consistency, not perfection. And if someone reaches out to you, don't ignore it because you're waiting for the right time. Sometimes, that simple invitation becomes the beginning of a friendship that changes your life. Loneliness doesn't disappear in one day, but every meaningful relationship begins with a single moment of courage. One conversation, one shared experience, one decision to stop facing life alone. Because in the end, no man was meant to carry the weight of the world by himself. Be the friend you wish you had. What if the solution to loneliness doesn't begin with someone else? What if it begins with you? Many men spend years waiting for a phone call that never comes. They hope someone will check on them, invite them out, or ask how they're doing. But here's the reality. Sometimes everyone is waiting for someone else to make the first move. Psychologists often say that friendship is built through small, consistent actions. A simple text message, a short phone call, an invitation for coffee, a weekend walk. These moments may seem insignificant, but they create trust over time. Being the first to reach out isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of emotional strength. You don't have to solve someone's problems. You don't need the perfect advice. Sometimes your presence is enough. You may never realize how much your message means to someone who's silently struggling. A few words like, "Hey, I was thinking about you. Want to hang out?" could completely change another person's day. The friendships we admire rarely happen by chance. They're built by people who choose to show up again and again. Sometimes, becoming the friend you wish you had is the first step toward finding the friendship you've always needed. Why men stay silent? Why is it so difficult for many men to simply say, "I'm not okay"? The answer lies deep inside male psychology. Research suggests that many men process emotions differently. Instead of expressing feelings through long conversations, they often communicate through actions, shared experiences, or simply spending time together. Imagine sitting face to face with someone who keeps asking, "How are you feeling? What's wrong? Tell me everything." For many men, this doesn't feel comforting. It feels like pressure. It feels like they're being examined instead of understood. That's why many men answer with only a few words, even when they're carrying emotional pain inside. This silence is often misunderstood. People assume men don't care, that they're emotionally unavailable, or that they simply don't want to talk. But in reality, many of them are waiting for the right environment, one where they feel safe, relaxed, and free from judgment. They don't always need more questions. Sometimes, they simply need less pressure. Final message: no one should walk alone. Before you leave this video, take a moment to think about one person. Maybe it's an old friend you haven't spoken to in years, a brother who's been unusually quiet, a coworker who always says, "I'm fine," but never talks about himself. Or maybe, that person is you. If you're carrying the weight of loneliness today, know this. You are not the only one. Millions of men around the world are fighting the same silent battle. And the first step toward healing doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be as simple as sharing a meal, taking a walk, watching a game, or sending one message that says, "Let's spend some time together." Because the greatest lesson from psychology is surprisingly simple. Don't meet just to talk. Meet to do something together. When people share experiences, conversations happen naturally. Walls come down, trust grows, and loneliness begins to fade. If this video helped you see male friendship in a new way, remember to share it with someone who might need this message today. You never know. One conversation, one invitation, or one act of kindness could save someone from a lifetime of silent loneliness. Welcome to Healthy Life Effect, a channel where psychology, self-improvement, and health come together to help you live a happier, stronger, and more meaningful life. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and press the bell icon so you never miss our upcoming psychology and health videos. Share this video with someone who might need this message today, because one small action can make a big difference. Thank you for watching. Stay healthy, stay positive, and we'll see you in the next video on Healthy Life Effect.